Okay, so you have finished assignment 4, the food survey. So you should have something that looks similar to what I have on my screen. You may have differences like the type of food or the number of votes, the colors that you used, some of the formatting. So for assignment 5, we're going to graph the survey results. Okay, so before we start, let's change the name. And I know yours looks a little bit different, but you should have A4. I want you to also type A5. That'll show me that you've started assignment 5. And then whatever normally is coming after is, you just leave that how it is. Probably has your name. Depends on how you created this spreadsheet. But definitely make sure you have A4 and A5 in the title. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our information and we're going to create some charts. Okay, so in order for the computer to make a chart or the spreadsheet to make a chart, I need to tell the spreadsheet what information. So if I went to insert chart, there's nothing that's going to be there because I didn't tell the computer what information needed to be in the chart. Okay, so let's undo that. So I have to tell the computer which information to include in the chart. So we're going to, you decide how you want to select, but we're going to select the food and the votes, not the total, just the food and the votes. Now, I clicked and dragged to select. The other option, you could have clicked food, held shift down, and clicked at the end. We don't want the total because the chart's going to show the total in one way or another. So we only want to include the data and the titles. So we need to include the data and the titles. That's what we want included in the chart. If I only chose the food and the votes, the only thing in the table would be food and votes. I wouldn't have titles on my information. So I want to include the titles so that it kind of coordinates everything together. So now we go to insert chart. And by default, it gives us a bar graph, which is okay. That's not a bad thing to have, but I want us to create a circle chart or a pie chart. So on the right-hand side, you're going to see like an activity pane or a navigation pane or a suggestion box pops up on the right. It's our chart editor. So the first section here says chart type. If I click the list, I see all the different types of charts that could be created. Okay. It also gives suggested charts. So based on the way that I selected the information or the way that information is laid out, these are the most common types of charts that you would want to use. Again, you can use any chart on the list normally. We are going to choose the pie chart. Now, the only problem right now, right this second, is that the pie chart is covering everything. So it acts just like a picture. I'm going to click and drag from the corners so that I can move my chart a little bit. Now, it looks kind of small, so maybe you want to bring it below and then make it a little bigger so you can see everything. I like that. So pick a good spot for your chart and make it big enough to where you can see everything. Okay. Now, a couple things to note on our panel on the side here. Where it says data range, that is telling us where our information is coming from. Cell A3 through cell B9. is where our information is coming from. Now, when I clicked, my pane went away, but if I re-click on the chart and double click, it comes back. So if you ever lose this pane on the side over here, just double click on your chart and you get it back. So under the setup, we have our data range. We have our labels. Okay, so the text, the TT means the text label is the food and the number labels are the votes. There are some other options down here you can kind of play around with, but we're not going to mess with that right now. So click over to Customize, and we can make some customizations for the chart. So the first option is Chart Style. You can change the font. You can change your background color. Now, one thing about fonts and colors is it's one thing, go ahead and play around, have fun, but your final product needs to be appealing to the eyes. So, you know, having a chart background that's bright yellow, nobody wants a headache. And as exciting as that might be, play with it, but don't have that as your final background. Okay, we're all getting old enough to where we can start having mature displays with your work. So if you want to change the color, it should be something that either, you know, maybe it matches your color scheme that you have going on or whatever. Okay. Under the pie chart, there are some other options. Now the donut hole is like basically takes a chunk out of the center. I know there are certain times that that's appropriate. There's really nothing that no reason right now to do a donut hole. Slice label, okay, you can choose to put the percents inside the slices, the values. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add the percent inside. We're not going to add the values because the values are in the table up above. It would be, it's called redundant. It'd be the same thing over again. And if you notice, as I hover over the chart, it actually tells me the other information as well. Okay. And you can change some labels in bold and all that. Now let's go to pie slices. So you can actually customize each slice. So let's say that you have a color scheme that you want to go with, or maybe you want to make the color match something that reminds you of the food or whatever. The only thing you don't want to do is create multiple color, like the same color multiple times. So like I wouldn't want to make the pizza slice the same color as, I don't know where that color's at, but I wouldn't want to make pizza this color and then make, you know, chicken fingers the same color. Whatever color that is, wherever I clicked. Okay, that's silly. Have the same color. I mean, you could go through and you could, you know, do different shades so that it's, you know, kind of coordinating. But it's up to you. So go through and adjust the colors of your slices. To whatever you want. Okay, so maybe I want to get fancy and have like shades of colors or not or whatever. Okay, and again, I just lost my chart. So let me double click and I'll get everything back. So we were in pie slices. So change the colors of your slices however you like. Make good choices. And then we're going to go to the chart and axis titles. Now it takes the title from the table that we selected originally. Okay. So I can actually change that. votes, technically, that's what happened, but I can change it to say votes for types of food. So adjust your title to be a little more descriptive. It can be exactly what I did or something else that you choose. You can adjust the text as well. So adjust any of that you would like. And then the last place we're going to mess with is the legend. Now the legend basically says which pie piece represents what. So there are all different kinds of options. You can play around with what things look like. The best way to learn about the charts is to just click things and see what happens. Okay, so if I say top, bottom, that moves things around. If you notice there aren't any labels like they were before, what this does is it actually color codes. So it shows you that the light blue is chicken fingers. Now with the way that I colored my chart, this isn't the easiest option. I probably should go back to labeled just because my colors are so close to each other. If you have all different colors, maybe you want the legend like this. Okay, so you choose how you want your legend to be set up. I'm going to stick with this one. The only thing you don't want to choose is none. Nobody should have to figure out, I mean, you shouldn't have to put your mouse over it. So definitely choose some sort of labeling setup. Okay. Now, when you click outside, it deselects your chart. If you click once, you can go back in and still make adjustments. If you click twice, you get your menu back. Okay. So make your chart look nice. Now click back on your chart one time, and I want you to click these little 3 buttons in the corner. There are some different options. Sometimes you'll use them, sometimes you won't. You can download as a picture. You can edit your chart. So this editing would do the same thing as double clicking. For deleting, you can use the menu to delete, but you can also just click and choose the delete button, or backspace or delete on your keyboard. Okay, so make your chart look nice. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a second chart. So let's select our food and our votes again. And insert chart. And you're going to choose a different chart. It should be an appropriate chart. Okay, and when I say appropriate chart, if you looked at a scatter plot, the scatter plot will show you the totals for each, but that's not really what a scatter plot is used for. A scatter plot is used if there's tons of different data that you need to find like a trend for. So that wouldn't really be an appropriate chart. The appropriate charts would be like a line chart. Wouldn't be appropriate because usually line charts are over time. So really bar chart is probably your best, or column charts. So anything from the column section or the bar section would be good choices. So choose a chart from either column or bar. You decide which one is best for the data. Resize it. Find a spot. You don't have to put it in the same place I just put it. If you want it larger and down below, you can do that too. Okay, it gets kind of fuzzy if it's too small. And then you're going to go through and you're going to make adjustments, customizations. One thing to definitely customize is the title. Now, on a side note, if you can't figure out, like, how do I do the title? I don't know where do I go for the title? Well, if you click in the title, it actually takes you where you need to go. So votes versus food, it's really not a competition. So that title doesn't really make sense. Okay. Favorite foods or something, you choose the title and then go through and make your customized adjustments. So change your colors, customize it however you want, make it look nice. But once you have two charts, a pie chart and a bar or a column chart, you're done and you can turn this in.